TV. Pen TV is a media platform that caters to the African and Black matter cultural diaspora here in the United States and, of course, around the world. I also want to appreciate everyone for joining the call, joining our panel conversation for today on the future of international money transfer, focusing on fintech and blockchain and their role in fostering US-African trade investment and, of course, economic development. As you all know, the market for international money transfer has been growing considerably. In transaction using their JPM chain coin recently. That's from June when they kicked off to this from when they kicked off to June this year. So I just wanted again just to say thank you all for joining this panel conversation, which is proudly hosted by our sponsor Oroki, fintech and blockchain company for peer-to-peer and B2B payment solutions. Oroki is a US-based solutions. Assets from adversaries. And then we also have Mike Tetu, who's also the COO for Oroki. Mike brings a wealth of experience in strategic and tactical operations after 28 years in the US Army career. Mike has served as the Chief Operation Officer for Prestio in NATO operations and Plans Officer and Battalion Commander, of course, the CEO. And also we do have amongst us Seyi Olugbemi, Seyi Oluwaseyi Akin Olugbemi, CEO of MyCover. So MyCover on the future of fintech. So I would like to just delve in directly into some of our questions for today. As you all know, blockchain technology is pretty popular, but I would like to start with Shay on really helping us to really understand what it means, what blockchain really means in the layman's term, and really helping us understand blockchain and cryptocurrency, because I do understand that sometimes being convoluted together.
Wow, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. That is a loaded question you ask to explain what blockchain is and what the difference is. I'll try to summarize and provide a very simple answer. Essentially, blockchain involves a means of having a less centralized network. That's the easiest way to think about it. Having a less centralized network means that I can deal with you or anyone else in a very public and what we like to call permissionless environment. I don't need any other sort of permissions in order for us to communicate. So it's also meant to be quite public. On top of that, you then layer things like stable coins, which are very different to typical cryptocurrencies in that they're not volatile and tend to be pegged one-to-one with another asset, which could be a fiat asset like a central bank issued currency like a euro or dollar, or indeed other sorts of real world assets. There's some stable coins that are pegged to gold, for example. Whereas the cryptocurrency generally is a digital asset, and the value of which is determined by the price someone pays, as opposed to an intrinsic value, such as a value of gold or the value of a particular central bank issued currency, which we call fiat. So in a nutshell, that's actually what blockchain is and how it
The financial transaction landscape is being revolutionized. With blockchain technology at its core. The innovation is reshaping how we manage cross-border money transfers, eliminating the lengthy processing time, the fees, some of the security concerns that we have. And given the topic of today's conversation, what's the future of international money transfer or even cross-border payments in general? I would like you, BC, and any of you can also chime in to help us really understand some of the trends shaping or even likely to shape the future. And what does this particularly mean for the ordinary person, right? What is the future of international money transfer?
In the money remittances or money transfer space. And the major reason why a lot of institutions and a lot of companies are actually looking to embrace blockchain as a payment rail or as a vehicle to move money around the globe is because of what Sheyi mentioned earlier before, right? It's for the public. Blockchain network is permissionless, meaning that anyone can actually transact business on that network without being authorized to do so, right? So there's no gates, there's no man in the middle, or there is no banks, right? So we can call them corresponding banks, right? So in the normal money transmitter operations or money transmitter organizations payment rail, they use a lot of intermediation, meaning that they use a lot of corresponding banks to be able to transact money, to move money from point A to point B. You have a whole bunch of intermediation that has to happen in the form of corresponding banks. So what blockchain has been able to do is to eliminate most of those, jumps that you have to go through, all those intermediate. Intermediation, right? Any intermediary in between. And all I need to worry about is the last leg, right? Who's going to finally deliver that payment to the recipients? And by so doing, all the fees that these corresponding banks would have to tag on, because each corresponding bank that is involved in the money transmitter process, in the money transmitter journey, they tag on their own fee on top of that, right?
Gotcha.
So that is where blockchain becomes much more interesting and much more become more viable. Payment to become more that made that the transaction also bring in more inclusions, because now many people can afford, instead of you paying a lot of money in fees, you can now reduce that and pass that on to your customer, and that enable financial inclusion. So there has been a trend. So the trend around that is a lot of companies are embracing that. Blockchain bring that speed of delivery into the equation, and that is something that
I want to bring Mike into the conversation, right? Given he's also in this space as well. What, Mike, in your perspective, right? What do you also see as, Bisha has mentioned speed, for example, and some interesting other factors that is, allowing people to kind of embrace blockchain as a means for a transaction. I'm just curious what you're also seeing in terms of,
Everybody has a phone now, or virtually everybody does. And when you have a phone and you can bring those technological steps to the palm of your hand, where you used to have to go stand in line or get to catch a bus across town to get to a bank, all the layering that BC just described goes away. And the access, the speed, factor in the security of blockchain, the transparency becomes a very, very compelling.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It's all right. So yeah, I think if you can let your mind view the access people have now to the internet, and then if you can speed up those simple transactions like moving money from point to point, person to person, without the friction of banking institutions, or that would take days, if not weeks, to get money back and forth with the extraordinary cost tacked onto it. It makes it a very, very competitive or a compelling industry to get into. And that's not just person to person, that includes businesses to businesses. So, your numbers you read off at the beginning are very powerful. They're in the billions. Those aren't millions. And if you just factor in just that the unbanked is a word we use in the industry. Those who didn't have access to getting money back and forth, now that they do, that's huge. That's a lifestyle changer.
And Shay, I want to bring you also into the conversation. Let's really focus on more like the impact of the technology itself, and
perfect example to illustrate the power. Two examples. The first one is I was recently in Nigeria a few months ago, and obviously I use our technology for my trip. So I went and I bought our token for myself because we do one-to-one. So I paid my euros and got our Euro C. I used our system to send that Euro C and receive Naira to my bank account.
Mm.
And I happened to be there at the time just before the elections where there was no cash. So the first part is all of this didn't affect me. I basically had money literally as we just described on my phone to the bank account, got my SMS, was able to do everything else. Now, here's the other sort of second part of my example where there was this woman selling bread and I wanted to buy bread just outside the building. Yeah. So I sent her the funds and her phone went ping ping. Everybody who goes who visits knows what that sound is. It's called a credit alert. Yeah. The money arrived in her account, the transaction was complete, and there, it was seamless, minutes from me to send money to myself there and for me to pay someone there without even touching a single note. This is the power. And some of the services we're working on will make this even more easier because you're able to send funds not just to a bank account. We can do mobile money top up. We can do credit. We can do voucher. We can do prepaid card top up. These are the kind of services that are coming up. So that last mile delivery, that ability to all of a sudden include someone who technically would find access to the financial system challenging is awesome. So that would be my input into that particular. Accept this. We just need to get there. But you need real world examples, real world use cases. So when you recount the story I told before, it makes sense to someone that, yeah, I get it. That, this is what I would add.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's powerful illustrations. Where the advent, AI, is becoming very trendy these days. How are you seeing that also impact or shape how you're thinking about fintech and how how that is also shaping your interaction with blockchain? I mean, even your entire project on its own, But how are you seeing some of those impact? BC or anyone can actually just chime in. It'd be nice to just hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah, so instead of you actually having conversation with an individual, you can just send questions to that robot advisory bot, and it can give you advice on what kind of assets you are supposed to be buying or information about asset. But with specific to money remittances, currently Oroki is exploring how we can use AI as part of our development work. But I see a situation where down the road, you can have things like a speech to text, where instead of you actually typing anything, you can just we'll start seeing, solution or services that will be available to do that. We are exploring how we can take advantage of AI within our development platform to make our service more seamless and more accessible, and using the power of AI to power some of the things that we do internally. But I think ultimately we will be able to see a situation where all you need to do is just to dictate to the, to your phone and say, send money to Abulaji, and then we'll figure out how much money do you need to send, and it will become more conversational, like a prompt. How much money do you want me to send to Abulaji? Send it to
or even challenges with blockchain, right? What are the potential challenges you're seeing that are shaping the industry? Now, there's an AI question and there's a blockchain question, which is the challenges you're seeing with AI, right? And then also some of the challenges you're seeing with blockchain in the space. I'm curious, Shay, what are your thoughts on AI in your space?
AI is a tricky one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Technologically, from a technology perspective, wonderful. It will, like BC said, you can see that this will come. There'll be more of this integrated into everything. So naturally, it will also include blockchain technology. I'll try to just touch on the areas that, let's say, the relevant areas. There's, let's say, the simple side where AI type logic and features are introduced. That's what BC was talking about with being able to dictate things and have voice recognition and other sorts of intelligent things happen within a system where the program itself is learning and adapting. This is, let's say, the low-hanging fruit. There's the power of analytics, and the blockchain generates a great deal of data. The ability to read, understand that data, and form processes and decisions on the basis of that data is probably the stronger lure. And then, yes, there are some things we should also be aware of. At that point, we're full on Skynet. Yeah, we are talking about a situation where the machines are able to actually predict and decide independently of what is best. Those boundaries will be tested for sure. Yeah. So those are the sort of things I think we need to think about. Will it happen? Yes. I can't say that it won't happen because there are cost savings, there's efficiency, there's usability, there's data which makes it commercially enables a commercial incentive to develop these products. You know, the more I know about a user, the more I predict what he's going to do even before he knows what he's going to do. It means I can have the product ready for him when he gets there. This is entirely possible. But I will leave you with one little anecdote. There is a company that has elected an artificial intelligence as its CEO. Literally,
Okay.
they've put it given it put a structure and a face around it. And this CEO, based on business information, the data of the business, et cetera, is actually live making decisions. Google it.
Okay. Okay. It's coming. It's coming for our jobs, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. One might argue that,
Yeah. And cheaper than most of your competitors, Uruki and BC. I would, I like to see your current product, Uruki, as almost that platform that Sendwave and all. You've been able to allow local domestic
for being cost effective and then make our transaction more affordable. And recently, we're actually going on a new approach where we want to eliminate all fees that we have on our platform right now to even make it even more affordable, right? So that means the transaction fee and the platform fee that we currently have on our platform, we're gonna eliminate those fees. And there will be no fees. There will be no fees for you to conduct any kind of transaction on our platform anymore, right? So the fact that you can do two things on our platform separate us from app like Venmo and Wise, right? So they only do one thing. On our platform, you are able to do domestic transaction and you can also do cross-border transaction. And not only that, today, as we speak now, we support over we support over 70 countries, right? Meaning that using the Oroke app, you can send money to over 70 different countries in the globe, right? So for a company that just started about 2 years ago, that actually launched its application about 8 months ago, that is significant, right? key differentiator that we have is when you send money on the Oloki platform, our recipient get their money in a matter of seconds, not minutes or days. And that's a key differentiator, right? So as soon as I hit send, in the next few seconds, the recipient will get their money, whether they're in Nigeria, they're in the Philippines, they're in India, or wherever they may be. So that's a key differentiator as well, too. And that is what we are taking to market. Yeah, so.
Sheyi, I know you're really doing amazing work with my Cobor. I really want you to, tell our audience, what is my Cobor? What is, I mean, you guys are the issuer of the Euro, of stable coin.
We do two main things. The first thing that we do is we provide a way for you to get onto the chain, as in making a deposit. So you're going from your euros to EuroC, our token, or you're going from our token EuroC to euro. So we call this is, think of it more like a deposit and a withdrawal, because that's what it is. But what we tend to call this is an on-ramp. An on-ramp is the process of putting money on or taking money off. So in actual fact, when you start talking blockchain, we're right at the beginning of the journey. Yeah? We allow you to turn your dollars, your euros, well, for us specifically, it's your euros, into a digital asset. Yeah? Or to convert your digital asset, which is our token, into money. The reason we obviously use a stable coin is because it's pegged one-to-one with a fiat currency. And that way you do not you're not subject to volatility in terms of the price. So if it's €1 when you start, it's €1 when you end. Yeah, €1 at the end. The second part of what we do is the actual cross-border capability. Like Oroki mentioned, we have corridors into Africa, into Asia, to America, into Latin America as well. So this means that we're able to service partners who need to move money quickly and cheaper for a variety of reasons. So that's pretty much what we do. And it's quite an exciting time to be doing this, because the nature of work in itself has even also changed, and the nature of who sends money or who's receiving money in terms of international remittances have changed. There's so many people who are either living in Europe in the diaspora that are sending money back, but there are other flows. There are people who are sending money to pay for their own school fees because they're spending the next effectively doing what we would have called shared services. Everybody locally is banding together with their money, and then he's giving it to him. He's making the transactions, yeah, which allow money to come to somebody who's here. And alternatively, when somebody's sending money back, it's not just him sending it to one person. It's almost like it goes in a lump sum, and they're able to pay out to different people. These are people, sometimes they're farmers. This is to allow them to be able to get what they've grown to a location where it can be shipped so that they can get paid. So it's again that financial inclusion, but just because you're deprived into the market in another country.
Mm.
There are different touch points where this technology and what companies like Oroki and MyCobo are doing are actually impacting the lives of people in a way that is quite constructive and was actually difficult to do before. And but it's hard. We're right at the beginning of this journey. We're almost trying to set the standard and create this new paradigm. It's hard work.
I mean, it's I really appreciate, the work you all do. Like I mentioned, I think is really impactful. But even just beyond just, developing countries, I would like to talk about, how you're also seeing, blockchain technology and even some of the work you're doing, right? On the aspect of, trade and investment, right? Oroki can talk from the aspect of US Africa trade and investment. Like it to also touch on something similar, right? How are you leveraging your product, your platform to ensure other global trade? Maybe it's Europe in Europe now, for example. How are you allowing that to happen, leveraging your tools? Or what do you even see as the future of this, for example?
Right. So I think one way that we've seen the blockchain to enable more seamless trade across different regions, including Africa or even LATAM countries or any part of the globe, for instance, is our B2B offering, right? So we enable businesses to use our platform to be able to pay in a very efficient and fast manner at a much reduced costs. You can enable that very quickly. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes we have to refund our accounts, right? And there's no mechanism to do that rather than sending wire transfer. Every time you send a wire transfer from one place to, you know how much it costs you. For the same amount of money that I will send to do a wire transfer, the bank will charge you a minimum of $25 or $30, right? If way. We're also exploring an option with a partner right now, where on our platform, you can actually be able to use, not only send money to other part of regions where you want to send money to, but where this partner is actually operating, where they are operating, you can, at the same time where you are sending money, but also buy assets or different type of financial assets right on our platform, right? So we are working on a partner to develop that capability. So you are not only sending money, but you are also able to invest your money in all those financial investment, not only by sending money, but also sending different assets, buying different assets in those regions. So there are different ways. The good thing about blockchain is it's expand a whole bunch of horizon. It's provide a whole different opportunity that were not existing before, or it was very difficult to do before, right? It just opened this new aperture, and this new windows of opportunity is something that we are all tapping it right now, and we are just getting started, right? So there are so many of these opportunities down the road that we are all thinking about and how we can leverage the power of blockchain to do all these nifty things.
How are you seeing that?
Well, a little like Busy said, there's obviously the USP of what it is we do, which is, cost and time. So this helps businesses when they're making these decisions. But I will give an example. We have a client. They are one of Europe's largest buyers of catalytic converters from around the world. So they're buying from different regions of the world, but the person who's receiving money, let's say a deal's been agreed for 1,000 euros, it's in euros. That person, maybe they're in, Argentina or something, or Kenya or wherever, it could be in Africa. The equivalent is what they're expecting to get, but they only receive, let's say, instead of 2,000, they receive 1,500, 1,600. But using our service, they're getting closer to that 2,000 value. So that is literally trade, because that equipment is shipped, they get money, that's going into the economies locally. And it's gone from being a challenging problem to having a nice, simple solution. This is the impact. You actually promote not just the actual payment itself, but the trade in those particular corridors, because it trickles down.
Still on Shay. How are you seeing? Obviously you're a startup yourself. And you're rapidly growing. What does the future look like for you, as an entrepreneur, as a company, in this space, really?
Wow. Okay. I'll tell you what I see.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is what I would like to have happen. I would like to keep growing. I would like to see us having more corridors, having more partners, and creating more of. One of the reasons that we partner with this is because they're focused on the US market. We're focused on the European market. So we would want to see more of that with all the other regions, because the more of us that there are, the easier it becomes, and the wider our reach. I think Swift's probably been around, maybe 50, existing methods have been around for 50, 60 years. It's taken a long time to see what we're used to. It's going to take probably maybe half or a quarter of that time to the next 10, 20 years to really see the impact. And that impact is not going to look like we think it will today. At least I don't think so. It isn't going to be because there are more blockchain technology and because everybody's blockchain savvy. What I think you will see is services will change, and people won't even realize that some of the services they're consuming are being powered by blockchain technology.
And I think we're seeing that already.
Yes, yeah. I think we will continue to see this. It'll be. This is our goal. We want to. This is actually our ultimate goal. We want to abstract as much of the blockchain component away. So, for Mr. A who wants to send money from A to B, he just has the ability to do that, and he doesn't need to think about how. Extra step of having to consider,
BC, just let's hear the future of Oroki.
Right. Just like she mentioned, right? So we want to see Oroki grow, and we believe that we are on the growth path right now. We want to see expansion of our services. We want to bring in more customer to the platform and democratize the whole money remittance space, right? That is one beauty of blocking as well too, is providing democratization, right? Enabling everyone to things. So that is where we envision Oroki to be in the next few years. We want to be able to partner with different big players in the market to be their partner, and also to be able to use even Oroki to make payments, online and in retail stores. We want to expand into utility at hometowns and cities, right, where we can actually use Oroki to pay utility bills and all those kind of things. So that is where we see we will be expanding into, and we think our growth will start materializing from those.
Refer that back to BC as my founder, right? Because he's the man who's really filled them up. I wanted, if I could touch on something just briefly that both of these gentlemen were talking about. And the word I'm going to use is equity, not equity in a business ownership piece, but equitable, like across the populations, right? And I think both of these batches of technology bring equitable opportunity to people who need money. It's not fair for the lady selling bread to have to go stand in line at her bank for 8 hours to get money that may or may not be there. It's absolutely fair that because she has a phone, she should be able to pass and send money as easily as people who drive big cars and live and work in big glassy office buildings, right? So, I mean, most of our lives, I suspect everybody in this room comes from a position of looking out after the little person, sticking up for somebody who might be oppressed, downtrodden, or just not have things balanced. And that leads to my next sort of example is if you look at these large calamities that are going on across, like the Turkey earthquake that happened a few months ago, this is an ideal opportunity for people to have money so they can absolutely take care of themselves and their families and or organizations that are bringing in aid. I mean, that's just like a broad example, but when infrastructure collapses, the ability to bring stability through being able to provide for yourself and your family probably restores a fair amount of like confidence that you might get through this okay. And that might be pie in the sky. But I think when you look at social sort of moral compasses, we really, both these companies see that benefit. And it's hard to ignore because people suffer from it. That's war torn, that's tsunamis, it's earthquakes, it's whatever badness happens. This is a way to help people get out of it. In addition to getting every single penny or euro cent that they get from the work they're putting in without having to bleed it off to banks and other institutions. You put your hard work in, you're sending money home, you're doing the right thing. Why should we be losing money to strap on opportunities there? So, I was going on with both what both these gentlemen were talking about. It was very, very easy for me to say, oh man, in addition to just a very addressable market that's in the billions, this is a way to sort of harmonize problems when people are just in immense amounts of stress. So, but thanks for letting me get in my moral box. But on the fundraising piece, I do he has I'll support him on anything he needs me to answer, but he's the man on that one.
All right. So BC, real quick.
System marketing, bring in more additional engineers, and then be able to fund our liquidity pool so that we have sufficient fund to service all our customer requests and all. So those are the key things that we want to use the fund for. But we are still in the fundraising mode right now, and if you go to wefunder.com/Oroki, that is our campaign is live there, and we are still looking for more investors to join that and invest in the company, right? So that's
and thank you so much. And you have a question from Mara Mohud. And she's asking, like, how much does it
We are also going through a funding round. We are currently raising a Series A. Not necessarily because we're in it just for the money, but neither us nor the people who supported us, both in terms of the blockchain and others, would not have done so. Yeah. That potential is why we're all in this business, and the potential is there.
Look like Abolaji might be.
Oh, I think he's frozen again. I just wanted to ask if Mira can confirm that my answer, I was able to answer her question.
Okay. I think she says thank you, actually.
Yeah.
I
All right.
can't. Yes. Okay. Good. I'm glad I was able to
All right.
answer your question.
Okay, so I just want to, take the time to say thank you. We are short on time. It's been lovely conversation. Really just listening to all you do, and really the interesting, not just interesting, the really impactful work that you do as a company, right? Just beyond, leveraging technology, but really touching lives. Mike, Shay, and then we end with DC.
Well, thank you for having this forum. I think it's wonderful, and I think we're in violent agreement with each other about the good that this type of work can do. So I thank you for having us on. And oh, by the way, make sure your wife gets a lot of sleep as a newborn parent. All right, you stay up and do the midnight feeding so she has a block of time.
Thank you so much. Shay, what about you?
Utility. Blockchain gives utility.
Mhm.
This is what people need to focus on, the actual things you can do, what you can use it for. Thank you very much for having me. It's been really quite an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. BC, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abolaji, for hosting this event.
Yes.
That
All
is
right.
that is the key. And thanks very much for organizing this. We really appreciate it. And we thanks all our audience as well too. And thanks for the question that they asked. So we hope to do this again. And thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all again. Again, we are 10 TV. We're a media platform that caters to the African and Black multicultural diaspora here in the United States. You can find us on www.10tvstudios.com. For you to connect with Oroki, please check out their website, www.oroki.com. And also my Kobo is mykobo.com, right?
That's CEO.
Well, not CEO, sorry, I believe.